Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to attempt something that as a kid, these things were produced in mass quantity and sold everywhere. Now you can't even find them. Hardly any restaurants sell them. You can go online and try to buy them. And if you do find them, they are very expensive. So today's episode is we're going to try and make chicken croquettes. Chicken croquettes. You gotta get that right. So, come along with me and we'll see in the end how these turn out. So, in today's recipe, we have minced chicken. You can use breast meat, thigh meat. I'm suggesting just bigger chunks so you don't have to do as much picking. I use skinless, boneless chicken thighs because I think they have a better taste than just plain old white chicken. But anyway, in this we're gonna have parsley, onion powder or salt, celery salt, some salt and pepper. I always like to add a little better than bouillon, breadcrumbs, some flour, and we're gonna have some milk. And let's see, I think that's about everything. And some eggs, I'm sorry. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so we're gonna get here started with a roux, which again, this is a double recipe. So normally you would have 2 tablespoons of butter, but it is 4 because, like I said, we are doubling the recipe. We're going to melt this down, and then we're going to add our milk in, and the flour that I have for the thickener, and I put the spices already inside. And then once this turns into a roux, we'll come back. Okay, now that our butter has melted, we're going to add our milk. This is 2 cups. And I use salted butter because I am using onion powder instead of onion salt. If I was using onion salt as one of the seasonings, then I would have used unsalted butter. You don't want to have these too salty. It is chicken, so it will absorb a lot of the salt anyway. So we're going to bring this up to a slight boil here, and then we're going to add in our flour and spices. And then this will start to thicken up and then turn into like a sort of like a gravy. I mean, that's sort of what we're making here. Then we're going to add in a little bit of the better than bouillon. We're going to put about a teaspoon in. I think this better than bouillon stuff is like the best. Gives a really rich flavor in whatever dish you're trying to make. I mean, just to get it to come out of the spoon, just use a regular spoon instead of a plastic one here. There we go. Put that over there. Again, we're just going to stir this till it starts to thicken up. And then once it starts to get thick, we're going to add in the chicken. Now, as you can see, this is boiling here for a few minutes on low heat. Keep stirring. Don't want it to stick to the bottom, but it is starting to thicken up. So at this time, I'm going to add my parsley. And we're going to put, let's see what a teaspoon here looks like. Maybe we'll go 2 teaspoons. Again, everybody that watches my channel knows I'm not really too keen on the measuring of the ingredients. It all, again, goes to your taste and look. But that looks pretty good to me. Now, instead of using celery salt here, you could also mince up a stalk of celery to put in there, as some of the other homemade ones had in it. Give this just a little hit here. Just trying to get this just a smidge thicker. Then we're going to add our chicken. Probably pretty good right there. Okay, now we're going to add our minced chicken. We're going to give that a good stir. I want it to get all incorporated in there. Turn the burner down low. Don't want it to burn. Get all those big lumps broke apart. I want that sauce to get over everything. Now again, I've never made this before. This is something I had as a kid, so I'm not sure if this is the right consistency. And after it cools, that we can form into the actual croquettes, then I'll know if I have to try to thicken it up. All right, so it looks like we got everything mixed really well here. There's a couple small lumps here and there. I'll just try to break those down. We are going to let this sit for a few hours and become completely cool. And then we'll come back and see what it looks like. So I'll probably let this sit out for a little bit just to cool, so it's not so hot and like it burns you. But then I'll probably move to the refrigerator and let this sit in there for 1 to 2 hours. All right, we'll be back. Okay, now that this is cooled down, this was in the refrigerator for about 2.5 hours. I want to make sure it was nice and cool. This is where you take 2 beaten eggs and breadcrumbs. I'm using the actual pork rind panko. And form these. I got my gloves on here. We're gonna, now it's stiffened up really well. We're gonna form these into about the size of the croquette that I can remember back in when I was a kid. Roll this a little bit. Now it says drop in the breadcrumbs, coat. Then we're gonna go back to the egg. It says, I don't like this going back to the egg thing. Seemed like that made it get worse. I'm gonna skip the egg thing. I'm gonna save that one to the side. Get another blob of croquette meat here. That's probably just a little too much. All right, we're gonna put that in the breadcrumb, and I'm just gonna use breadcrumb. That looks like, or in this particular case, we're using pork rinds that are crushed up, but I'm gonna use that instead. I like that better. Now remember, this is a double batch, and you can make them smaller, bigger. I've been to one restaurant in Manheim, PA, and their croquettes are at least double this size, and you got 2 of them for a dinner. Put it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some out that I'll deep fry right away. You can oven cook these or deep fry. I'm going to save a couple for deep fry, and then the rest of these I'm going to actually put in the freezer, because when you freeze something like this and then you either deep fry or bake, it actually will hold together better. You won't have this all, it's like it really firms whatever item you're using and cooking with. It firms it up really well. All right, I'm gonna get these all plated out and we'll be back. Okay, so we ended up here now with 12 of these, 2 here. These are the 2 I'm gonna make now. These 12, these are a little lighter, but these here are probably 2 to 3 ounces each. So again, this is a double batch. Let me get a pan with some oil, and we'll get the oil heated up and get these two in there, and these ones I'll put in the fridge. I mean, in the freezer to get stiff, and when I'm ready to put them in the oil or bake them in the oven, they'll be ready to go. Okay, let's drop one in and see if my temperature is set right. Not sure if it's still, oh no, it seems to be doing pretty good. I would put two in there, but I put too much oil in, so now I gotta wait. Do one at a time. A little bit of them breadcrumbs thrown off of there. That's another reason you want to let it freeze up, because then all that will make it stick even more to that firmness of the item that you're freezing. Okay, we'll let this go for, I would say, 2.5 to 3 minutes, and we'll pull it out. Okay, so the deep fry experiment did not work out at all. It seems like without the egg wash on the second time around, all the breadcrumbs came off in the oil and you were left with just the filling floating around. So I put them in the oven to try it that way. So without egg wash and just sitting in the oven, it got to be like flattened out. You can see here that this one flattened out. But the one with the egg wash and slightly frozen just started to freeze and put in the oven, ended up standing tall. Now I still think that they could have had just a little less moisture, but the flavor come out pretty dang good. So I'll be tweaking this recipe as I go, and I will give you the updated recipe on what I think would be to make those slight adjustments.